Off the Track is proudly brought to you by Windsor Park Stud.
Yes, hi and welcome to Off the Track, brought to you courtesy of Windsor Park Stud, of course the home of the new horse Sham Express. Well, our guest today, he's been around a little while, but he is in fact, his family have been around even longer. He is a third generation breeder, and I refer to the horse industry, of course. Samwilliams, nice to have you along.
Morning, Steve, and it's great to be talking to you and not Peter Early for a change.
Oh, well, that's all right. Yeah, of course, you've been a big advertiser of the industry, and you've been a great promoter of it, and we're going to talk about it as we go on. But you are a third generation.
Yeah, I am, and I guess it's I'm very lucky in that respect that I am third generation, and I haven't had to go out and buy all the brood mares right from the word go. I did buy it off the family, obviously, but the broodmare, the history was always there.
Yeah,
so
I want to talk,
easy.
before I get to your history, I want to talk about, because your grandparents, Alistair and Nancy, and the interesting thing I found when I did a bit of research, in fact, it was more your grandmother that was the horsewoman rather than your grandfather.
Yeah, it was. Actually, when Alistair proposed to her, and Nancy was from down the south, and her farm, the family farm, was Avondale. And she said, I will marry you, but on two conditions. My horses and my dogs come with me. So grandfather had to oblige and give in, and that's where it really all started.
You had quite a bit of property, they had a bit of land at that stage. Was he sheep, cattle farming at that point? Or?
Yeah, Te Paro was a big farm. When it was originally founded by the Beetham boys and the Williamses, it was a substantial block of land, and then local government intervened and it was broken up. But today Te Paro still operates at about 1,600 acres, and yeah, but Little Avondale was a break off from Te Paro, so yeah, still a nice block.
What I asked you, Te Paro, I looked it up, I couldn't find a translation for it. What does it mean, Te Paro?
Te Paro means a little clearing in the bush.
Yeah, a little clearing. Well, it's a bit bigger than a little clearing in the bush. Your mother came up. She was a woman of vision. She went to the Trentham sale yards, by all accounts, and saw a mare with a head over thing was up for tender, and put a tender in for 1,250 guineas.
Yeah, she did, and she obviously had a very good eye for a head. Yeah, the mare being Sunbride, and Sunbride, the family is still a part of the foundation mare of the farm today, and damn, she was a very good mare, Steve. Yeah,
outstanding mare. Although she wasn't to start with. Looking at her record, I mean, she went something like 4 or 5 foals before she was in foal to a horse called Photoraj, who stood at Okar with stud, and that resulting foal turned out to be something very special.
Yeah, General Command. And he won a Sydney Cup and a Metropolitan.
Actually, no, there was one before that. Straight Draw.
Oh, sorry, Straight Draw.
That's right.
Straight Draw.
I'm here for you, Sam. I know it's just your family. It's just your family. I just thought, I'd help you through this.
Yeah, sorry, actually, Straight Draw. And here we are building up to the biggest race day in the Australian calendar. Yeah, Straight Draw. He won the Melbourne Cup.
And what a start that was. She ended up producing 3 Group 1 winners, Sunbright.
Yeah, she did. The next one, Alumqua, by Sir Ben, he was most surely the best of them, and most surely one of the grandfather's favourite horses. He won a Caulfield Cup, he ran 2nd and 3rd in a Melbourne Cup, trained locally by Eric Ropier, and he was a very special horse. The old man's got quite fond memories of the horse. Obviously, it was before my time, but obviously a very good racehorse.
As a young kid, though, did you sit around at Christmas time, reminiscing over the things, coming into Melbourne Cup time? Did you look up at the Cup and things like that? Did you have those historical sort of interactions with your grandparents, your parents?
Oh, look, grandfather, I have one recollection of. He died when I was only a young boy. Grandmother, I certainly remember quite well. Mum and Dad used to drop us off there quite a bit.
What's this photo here, mate? That's on here now. Is it Sunbride? Is it?
Yeah. There's Straight Draw at the far end, Alumqua in the middle, and then General Command.
Okay, the family.
Yeah. So, but then the General Command by Agricola, he also won a Metropolitan, and so 3 great horses. I think between them, they won something like, was it 28 races?
Yeah, outstanding. Hey, one thing that your mother did say, because as I say, it was about 4 or 5 foals in before she actually hit the gold mine, so to speak, is she said to Alistair, she said, when we go broke, I'll be walking down the path, myself and Sunbright. She was never going to let go of her.
No, she wasn't. And actually, I think before Straight Draw came along, he did suggest that she should get rid of Sunbright. And to this day, well, it's been a long time since, but grandmother never turned around at the end and said, I told you so.
I told you so, eh? That takes a bit of doing. Hey, listen, when did they move into stallions? I mean, Sabian, I think, was the first, is it? Sabian?
Yeah, Sabian was the first.
How did that happen, do you know?
No, look, I honestly don't. But grandfather really took a shining to the racing industry and was very much part of the New Zealand Thoroughbred Breeders Association.
He set it up.
He did. He did. He was great friends with Tom Lowry and Seaton Otway, and he was, very much part of the association.
All right, and they went from there to Agricola. Was that your next?
Yeah, Agricola came along. They were big course horses. Once again, before my time, but Buzz has, told many stories about him, and a very strong, robust horse. He was actually sold to Australia, and at the time sold
here
for
now,
sold
different
for
fencing now. Look at that.
Yeah.
Hey, was that high tensile?
No, that's steel. That's number 8.
Okay, that's all right. I just wondered. I was a bit worried.
You look at the size of the paddocks for the stallions back then. Yeah, they're about 5 acres.
It'd take you a month to catch him if he didn't want to be caught. The key horse, the one horse that really put Te Pare on the map, stallion called Oncidium. Yeah,
he was obviously a very good racehorse in his own right in England. They purchased him, brought him out here, and I guess they were lucky to have had him for as long as they did. He died prematurely, but back then, Steve, a full book was 40 mares.
Yeah.
You know, we're Labour weekend and Parankando, look, he's going to cover 120 mares. He's already covered 80 mares. Back then, he only covered 40 mares. So it was a real tragedy that he did die prematurely, but he was just a champion.
He made his mark, though. I mean, one of the things coming in as an auctioneer, I remember looking back on the historical, they sold for 100,000.
Yeah, 1973.
Yeah, post the decimal currency, so it wasn't guineas. We're talking about $100,000.
Yeah,
that's a lot of money.
It was a lot of money, and actually, it was fortuitous that the old man sold the first $100,000 yearling ever in Australasia. And about an hour later, Lorraine Jamison, just down the road at Cardinere Stud, she sold the second. So
both by Oncidium.
Both by Oncidium.
Hey, there was a lot of interest. They tell me they're keen to buy the horse.
Yeah.
Probably now wishing you had taken the money.
No, I don't know about that. Look, it was in 1973.
Yeah. Would you consider $1.5 million for Oncidium? And that's Keith Gutzel, the late Keith Gutzel, bloodstock agent.
Yeah, well, actually, 3 weeks after they received the telegram, Oncidium was dead.
So Gary Chittick talks about the offer he had on Centane, rushed out that night, make sure he's all right in the box. They didn't entertain the idea of selling. It was a bit like Sunbride, never going to get rid of it.
Well, that was the first year he won the Jewett Trophy, and he won it 2 more times in 75 and 76. But the horse was just flying at the time, and obviously he had a very good horse in Diana, who won 4 derbies. So, yeah, look, I think when you have a horse like that, it's pretty hard to.
Yeah, and that's what you'd always live for. Your uncle and your father, Tom and Richard, I've got to ask you, how did your father get the name Buzz? Now, those of us that know Buzz would probably think there's a fly flying around in his head or something, you know. How did it come about?
Not many people would actually know his name is Richard.
Yeah.
Buzz, I think it goes right back to his nanny when he was always a pest, and he was a bit of a mozzie. And then it just went shorter and it became Buzz, and that was it.
I got to say, if your father could give you anything that get you through life, would be his sense of humour.
Yeah, look, never short of a laugh with Buzz around, especially at the sales.
I loved, there's a photo, and this just sort of probably typifies him, I reckon, breaking in a yearling, of him crouching down in the paddock. I mean, it's just priceless. I mean, he is something different, your father.
Yeah, look, he's a very good horseman, and he does some crazy things with horses. Like the other day, I caught him again with his staff, and he's behind them, and he's got his head, and he's like scrumming this weanling. I was going, Buzz, you'll get kicked.
Yeah. Here he is. There's Buzz. What's he
Yeah.
doing there? What's this all about?
He's
Is he
praying
bowing down?
No, he's praying.
He's praying. He is something else. Now, look, as a partnership together, they work pretty well, Te Pārai?
Yeah, look, both Buzz and Tom took it over after grandmother, after she moved into Little Avondale. And then Buzz, we separated in 96, 97, Little Avondale separated from Te Pārai. And, but the family's been very close all the way through.
You got brothers and sisters?
Yeah, I got one brother and one sister, Anna, and then George, my younger brother. He's into sheep and beef, and my sister, she was in the pub restaurant business for a bit, and now she's a full-time retired mum.
Okay, well, let's talk about you. How did you go at school?
Oh, look, I was a scholar, Steve. Yeah, I was very good at school.
Were you?
Loved my sport.
How many years in fifth form?
No. Sixth form. 2 years in sixth form.
2 years in sixth form?
Yeah, but first
chasing
15
UE, were you?
15 for a couple of years and first 11 cricket.
Were they going overseas for a trip, were they? Is that where you stayed?
Look, we enjoyed school. We did prep school at Huntley Prep and then on to Wanganui Collegiate and had a lot of fun there.
Academically, you went pretty well, but sporting, you enjoyed your rugby, etc.?
Yeah, very much so, and that's why I stayed on for the last year.
Yeah, the overseas trip or just...
No, it wasn't an overseas trip, just wanted to stay for sport.
Yeah. Pony club, working with horses? I mean, I read somewhere you started working in the stables pretty young.
Yeah, Pony Club was there early on, then motorbikes came along. Pony Club, riding horses actually wasn't my thing.
Okay. Too big?
No, I didn't actually really enjoy it that much.
All right.
Didn't have that great a balance. Even through my courtship with my wife.
I don't want to know that. That's enough.
That's rode a bit of horses.
No, that's enough. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be back after this break with more of the life and times of Sam Williams.